A single tree growing in a natural dip along Hadrian's wall in Northumberland is destroyed overnight and a community left reeling. So who chopped down the tree at Sycamore Gap and why? Now on BBC News, From Roots to Ruin.
One of the most iconic trees in Britain.
The famous tree at Sycamore Gap
was cut down in what's thought to be an act of vandalism. Its felling has caused shock, outrage.
That one little tree was so symbolic of not only the region and the area, but the people here.
And deep sadness.
Really angry about it.
This story was so big, this managed to make all the front pages in other countries as well.
The loathsome jackass that did it, I think, deserves the worst punishment that can be meted out. It was like the death of a friend.
I was absolutely raging.
And I hope you feel really good about yourself.
I was raging.
That famous landmark is no more.
The big question is why and who did it?
First tonight, 2 men have been charged in connection with the felling of the Sycamore Gap tree.
Turned up with full face masks on and sunglasses and suits.
We're going to find out who you are, whatever.
Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers.
Now, over 30 reporters were in court 6 this afternoon.
It's certainly one of the most remarkable trials that I've covered in my career.
ITV News, BBC News, Sky News, like news. I think it's gonna go wild.
The Sycamore Gap was a sentinel of time. And there was a majesty and magic to it. It was just a beautiful, beautiful tree.
Just look across this gorgeous, rolling, desolate, bleak landscape, and then there's this tree right in the middle of it. And it's just so unique, and it was so special.
It was the perfect symmetry. The way that the hills just lined and then just hugged the tree in the middle was just beautiful.
Sycamore Gap is 1 mile basically from us along the trail. So we get a lot of trade from people walking the Roman wall. We proudly have it as our logo. It's been Tree of the Year, most photographed tree in the Northern Hemisphere.
Hi, I'm Kevin Reynolds, director of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
I am home! Woo!
Many years ago, when I was in college and I was doing a Brit Rail tour of the UK, and I wanted to go up and see Hadrian's Wall, and I was riding down this road along the wall, and all of a sudden we came to this gap, and there was this tree in this beautiful little U in the wall. And several years later, when we were preparing Robin Hood in the UK, and I remembered it even after all those years, and I said, we have to shoot here. What I remember about that day was how changeable the weather was. It was very cold, very wet.
Is there no sun in this cursed country?
After the Instagram age came in, then it really took off and became a kind of national and worldwide spot that everybody knew about.
It became the place to get that image of yourself when you're on holiday. People were getting engaged here.
We went for a walk up to Sycamore Gap, and that's when my husband got on one knee and asked me to marry him. It was the best 40th present ever.
They were scattering relatives' ashes here, all those big moments in their lives.
She's about to spread her dad's ashes, Stephen's ashes, just get this most magical tree. I've got goosebumps, you know.
2 years ago, I walked along Hadrian's wall. So when I got to this point, and I scattered them, that spurred us on to finish the walk as well, because I was doing it for him, and that's why it's so special it was.
We're very proud of where we come from here in the northeast. The tree was it was an exclamation mark about who we are in this part of the world.
I think it's going to go wild.
The day started pretty much like a normal one, and you get an email on your phone. It was a report that the tree had fallen over. So it had been reported by a farmer, and just because of the localness of it, I doubted a farmer would be telling us a silly story. Got in the van, headed off there. Every day you've seen it, and then one day you go past, you do the quick double take. It was shock, as it were, because it's just like a landmark, and then when you look and it's gone, it's just, oh my God.
Just bringing you some really, really sad news. I feel devastated. Sam, something awful's happened up at Sycamore Gap.
Northumberland National Park have said that the famous tree at Sycamore Gap has been cut down.
It can't be real. You know, it can't be true. Jump in the car, we'll drive up and we'll have a look and check it out. And I pulled up, got my big lens out, zoomed in, and sure enough, the tree was on its side. Sad morning. Really sad morning. Destroyed forever. Whoever's done this needs to do some serious time, like serious time. Really sad day.
300 years. This tree has stood next to Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland. Last night, it was cut down in what's thought to be an act of vandalism.
That one little tree was so symbolic of not only the region, the area, but the people here. It's like the soul of Northumberland.
Its felling has caused shock.
This is part of the cultural heritage of this part of the world.
Outrage.
Really, really angry about it. Absolutely devastating.
And deep sadness.
Actually, I think I'm filling up now. You're sad.
I just couldn't believe it. And I still can't comprehend the mindset that would just do that.
You've just murdered a sentinel of time and elemental spirit of Northumberland.
I was absolutely raging.
And I hope you feel really good about yourself.
I was raging.
For whatever warped reason you've done it, it's shocking.
Jeffrey, it's gone viral.
An iconic tree at the Sycamore Gap has been chopped down.
This story was so big, this managed to make all the front pages, not only in our country, but in other countries as well.
Al que le pareció simpático talarlo.
Famoso tras aparecer en la película Robin Hood.
I was just stunned. It was like so out of the blue and so unexpected. I was really surprised at my own reaction to the news.
The loathsome jackass that did it, I think, deserves the worst punishment that can be meted out when they catch him. I mean, personally, I think they should chain him to the stump for the rest of their lives.
It was like the death of a friend. So many people reacted to it.
Today, that famous landmark is no more.
ITV News, BBC News, Sky News, like news. I think it's gonna go wild.
If you could just clear back a tad, just a touch, just out of this main sort of area here, just so we can gather as much evidence as we can, okay? Thank you very much.
The police arrived in all the forensic gear, the masks, all the gloves on. It's something that I've never seen before for a tree. I've been to murder scenes and crime scenes before, and that's the sort of place I expected to see police officers doing that kind of investigation. They were out there measuring everything, checking it all. It was a strange scene. The big question is why and who did it?
Very quickly, rumours started to float around that there was a teenager involved in it. You were speaking to people in the villages and people were saying there's a kid who's in the frame for this, and it seemed even more bizarre and unlikely that people locally, to me anyway, and to journalists, were a little reluctant to say who it was because I think they felt that he was vulnerable.
A 16-year-old has been arrested by police and is in custody in connection with this incident.
And then suddenly, social media changed all that because they named him and they used a picture of him. The picture showed him with a chainsaw and he was in what you would call lumberjack gear. Bright orange helmet, big chainsaw. It suddenly went from a kid couldn't do this to, well, maybe that kid could.
You have to be very, very, very careful not to jump to assumptions really quickly. You know, there's an old-fashioned saying, isn't it, that the assumption is the master of all mistakes.
Obviously, there were lots of rumours flying around who had done it, and we followed up a few leads that we'd been given on possibly, you know, people who lived on the land there.
Before the police arrest came about, Walter's name had started to float around. Walter was third generation of his family to live at Mill Farm. And he'd been recently evicted. And part of that had been an objection which had come from the National Trust about the way the campsite that he was running was conducting itself.
Had a few friends used to come down, had motorbikes, four-wheel drive bikes, you know, and he used to go in the woods, but just on forestry tracks and ride around in the woods. I didn't think it would do any harm, but the National Trust thought it would do harm, and I used to let them. I shouldn't have let them. Maybe now when I look at hindsight, I should not have let them in the wood.
It's a bit tenuous, but there it is. There's a sort of motive there. That and the fact that he owned a big chainsaw and had spoken about owning a big chainsaw. He had the skills, the ability, the strength to have done something like that.
We would want to do that. Nah, he wouldn't do that. But would he do it? No, he wouldn't. Might when he was young do something stupid, but to come up with that?
Ah, okay. Maybe it's not the kid, it's got to be this guy.
They searched me farm. They had drones flying around the valley. There were divers in the river. It was like, what? They were 100% certain I'd done it at the beginning. Almost like some nightmare. Like, every time I went shopping in the village, certain people would nudge other person say, that's him would cut the tree down, you know. You're joking? Oh, that's him. It was horrible.
Police announced some months later that they were taking no further action against Walter or the 16-year-old. And at that point, the feeling was, this has gone completely cold.
Obviously, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, brand new, extended, original motion picture soundtrack.
I'm a massive movie fan. I still remember a buzz about Robin Hood when I was younger, like how Robin Hood's getting filmed in like Sycamore Gap being up the road.
Look at that. Robin Hood in the background.
Like Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman's been here. It's just a thing of beauty. I met Lincoln at a random art exhibition.
I typically go off B-movie type themes, UFOs, dinosaurs, octopus giant kraken type deal.
And then he had such recognisable, iconic locations. I thought that was hilarious. And I think Sycamore Gap was the one where we So both said, oh yeah, imagery-wise, he looked at that and went, yeah, great.
I was like, oh, well, I've got to do that if people have such a connection with it and it's such an iconic place.
I still remember when he sent us it going, wow, that's amazing. So he posted it, and then the next day someone chops it down. I'm like, couldn't have wrote that.
Loads of messages came like flooding in from like Instagram and stuff. I didn't know what to do really at the time. I was a bit like, do I take the post down?
He was like, are you serious? Someone chopped it and pull it over. He was like, and it was so surreal, like freaking out. And I'm like, I think you'd be all right. I mean, where were you last night? Were you chopping the tree down?
I couldn't decide what to do at all. I didn't know if I would get into some sort of trouble. It was loads of different emotions. My wife was concerned about like the police knocking on the door and things like that. Really? Could that really happen? It's mad, yeah.
First tonight, 2 men have been charged in connection with the felling of the Sycamore Gap tree in Northumberland.
They have each been charged with 2 counts of criminal damage relating to the tree and Hadrian's Wall.
It all came as a bit of a shock, sort of, you know, once 2 people had been arrested, especially when they said they were from, say, Cumbria, I think it was Carlisle, and they'd been arrested and charged. It was, well, what links have they got to the tree, and why would they want to come all the way across and fell the tree?
I was kind of quite relieved that it wasn't somebody from Northumberland that had done it, or from the northeast that had done it. Was I furious that it was somebody else? 100%, yeah.
So on the day of the court case, we were down there and obviously waiting for 2 gentlemen to turn up.
Now, over 30 reporters were in court 6 this afternoon.
The 2 gentlemen that turned up with sort of full face masks on and sunglasses and suits.
In fact, one of the papers described Adam Carruthers' mask as a gimp mask. That's how they described it.
That kind of gripped everybody even more because of the bizarre disguises that they wore and the lengths they went to not to be identified.
The criminal damage was valued at more than £620,000.
But in court, both of them, particularly the younger one, Adam Carruthers, seemed very, very anxious.
Anything you'd like to say?
We followed them up the street and then they just jumped into a Range Rover and drove off.
Well, it was a level of immaturity and complete and utter stupidity, because we're going to find out who you are, whatever.
Daniel Graham is by far the more colourful character. And he'd set himself up in this kind of strange little shanty that he'd built with a caravan, put some horses on the land, gates and pillars with lions on the top. He has his own company. Tree clearance is one of the things that they do. Adam Carruthers worked for Daniel Graham, so it all made sense. But the overriding thing was why? Why did they do it? What was it all about? You know, what was the purpose of it?
Our jury has been played dramatic footage of the moment it's claimed the Sycamore Gap tree was toppled with a chainsaw.
That video was filmed on an iPhone belonging to one of the defendants, Daniel Graham.
It's night time, you see a figure underneath the tree, and then you see and hear the tree cracking and crashing to the ground.
It was a really key piece of evidence, and you could see a visible reaction on the face of the jury. Dan Graham's phone was tracked leaving his home near Carlisle all the way over to Sycamore Gap in Northumberland. Number plate recognition cameras picked up Dan Graham's Range Rover. Hub CCTV picked up the headlights of Dan Graham's car going up towards Sycamore Gap and then back again.
They took a wedge from the trunk to be kept as a trophy.
and that video clip was actually shot in the boot of his Range Rover.
Though it and the actual chainsaw said to have been used were never recovered.
It's gone viral. It is worldwide. It will be on ITV News tonight.
Voice notes were sent between Carruthers and Graham, and possibly the most damning of these was one in which Carruthers said to Graham,
"I'd like to see launch an operation like we did last night. I don't think he's got the minerals."
He said in court that he meant to say the operation that he launched last night, meaning it was someone else, but that was quickly shot down by the prosecution.
What is it you're ringing about?
The Sycamore Gap.
In his initial police interview, Dan Graham refused to give Carruthers his name because he said, "I'm not grass." But then, in August 2024, he made an anonymous call to Northumbria Police where he did just that.
One of the lads that had done it, Adam Carruthers, has got the saws back in his possession.
It's certainly one of the most remarkable trials that I've covered in my career. They can't seem to quite get their entrance to and exit from the court done in a low-key fashion. They seem to be attracting more attention to themselves. Adam Carruthers with his hood up and his head down, he appeared to have missed his taxi, which was sitting directly outside of the court. And then had to come back and be driven away by what I assume is a very confused taxi driver.
Today we have seen two men found guilty not only of damaging the tree, but also Hadrian's wall. At no point have the two men given an explanation as to why they targeted the tree.
Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers carried out what the police called a mindless act of vandalism.
When I heard it, I was just absolutely elated. I thought, you know, some justice has been served.
I literally punched air when I was at work, and my whole team were following it with me. A little bit too excitable, but it was just great to see guilty, guilty.
A little bit of justice.
Guilty, guilty.
Yeah.
No doubt in some people's minds that whatever they get will not be enough. There's so many people with emotional ties to the tree.
I got a question on social media yesterday saying, you know, it's just a tree. I was like, put yourself in somebody's shoes who's had their parents' ashes scattered at the base of the tree. People found like peace there, a little bit of tranquility away from this mad world that we're living. You know, away from people like those two idiots who cut the tree down. You know, yeah, it was just a bit of peace.
I'd like to see launch an operation like we did last night. I don't think he's got the minerals.
There was a sentence that they said I thought was really interesting. Didn't have the minerals to do what we did last night. And I kind of want to say to them, you guys haven't got the minerals to own up to what you did.
Daniel Graham and Adam Carruthers. I'm confident that a major factor in your offending that night was sheer bravado. Felling the tree in the middle of the night and in the middle of the storm gave you some sort of thrill, as did the media coverage of your crimes over the following days. You revelled in the coverage, taking evident pride in what you had done. This is a case in which I have an overwhelming sense that both defendants should receive the same final sentence. Stand up, please. I've imposed a sentence of 4 years and 3 months imprisonment. You will be released no later than 40% of the way through the sentence. Thank you. You may go down.
Closure is enormously important because the why is always the closure that you need. Why? You know, sometimes the world that we live in doesn't offer that closure. We're going to have to live with that. Yeah, mate. Well, it's the first time. That's the first time I've been back to see it. I've put off coming to see it because I didn't want to. And when you see the scars on the trunk of the chainsaw blades, absolutely mindless. And look, its saplings are there. It's trying hard, it's still alive. There's a defiance to that that is quite wonderful. Very special.